So here's one even I wasn't expecting. Critical Role figures. Let's do it. So to sit here and claim that I am above the impulse buy would be a complete fabrication. It happens. Sometimes, even though I keep my collection the way that I said, it has to mean something to me, or it has to go, and I'm constantly sorting out the shelves and everything, and if you're ever on my TikTok, you know that. Because even recently, I went over the entire anime shelf, and I removed like, I think I removed like 7 different figures from the anime shelf because they're pointless now. They no longer serve a purpose, they gotta go. That's part of the outbound process. I've talked about that as well, where I talked about the collector's triangle. These are all things that go into my collecting philosophy hardcore. I don't like to get overwhelmed with stuff that means nothing to me. But that doesn't mean from time to time that I don't come across a deal and say to myself, ooh, that's a good deal. And then it catches my attention. Or I see something that's flashy on the shelf, and for a moment I say, man, that thing is cool. Well, here we go. See, I was online, and I went on looking for my normal stuff. I put my money in my budget, and then I go online, and then I usually go to an Amazon or something of that nature, Amazon, Big Bad Toy Store, something, and I say, what is okay this paycheck? What can I get away with? $20 figure, something, yada yada. Or maybe I just say, you know what, I'm not seeing anything this time, and I know that I want that 1980s superpower looking Batmobile with the Batman and the Robin. Robin seems to be going up in value. Batman seems to be staying around 10. It's going to be like a $50 drop or something like that, like a $60 drop at this point. Maybe I wait and hold off. That way I guarantee that I have a really good week in a week or two. Okay, that happens. But sometimes I get on and the sales are real. And it just so happened that this time, McFarlane Toys had all of this marked down low. Like, we're talking like $10, $12, $13, $13. Like, I got out of there with 50 bucks. Bought all of them. For me, McFarlane Toys, these figures at these scale, that's solid. That's really solid. I feel like that's a solid deal. And you know me by this point with all the stuff that we've talked about when we talk about things like Motu and whatnot. I often compare Motu to Dungeons and Dragons because I like barbarian classes and things like that, and we've also talked about in other videos that when I play online games and whatnot, I tend to like elven archers. That's the class that I often like. I like to build an elven archer or a redhead warrior lady. Just fits my D&D preferences in terms of those games and whatnot. And so I saw these figures, and I've seen them a couple of times, and they look solid, and they look D&D, and they look cool, and they're from Critical Role, and I was like, huh. Then I figure out they're also from a series called The Legend of Vox Machina. I didn't know that. I didn't even know that when I bought these. I just saw the entire set was on sale. And so I said, these look really good. I think I'm going to do it. And I bought them. And now I have to open them and see if I screwed up, because I haven't seen this show. I have no attachment to it like that. So for me, this was very much continuing my Motu-esque experience in a way. See, with Motu, when I first started buying into it, I didn't know anything about it. I saw cool figures, and I knew enough to know a couple of names and whatnot, and that was about it. And the rest happened as it happened. So I'm interested. Maybe these are really cool, and maybe I just bought something that can lead me down, not necessarily a rabbit hole, because I hear there's only like 2 seasons of this show, and I have Amazon anyway, so like, hey, this gives me an excuse to check out the show for what it's worth, and it puts a couple D&D-esque figures on the shelf, and I'm not going to complain about that. So let's check these out. So the other thing that caught my attention about these figures was I like Dragon Age. And it was another thing that when I looked at these guys, that's kind of what I saw from 3 of them. One of them that we're going to talk about, I bought almost out of obligation. But we'll get into that. The boxes, and we'll just compare one of them because they're all going to be about the same. The boxes, though, are pretty solid. If you're an in-box collector, I don't think you'd cry about this. It has a fantastic open window display where you can see the entire character plus the staff. No real super pose or anything like that going on, but enough that you can get a gist of the character and everything, and I think it works. The side has a picture of the character, and I think this is important. Now that I've, and not that it's just like a now thing, like I'm just figuring this out, but as I've done a lot of these conventions, I think the side character portrait is incredibly important, because the more conventions I do, the more I'm realizing over and over and over again that the G.I. Joe boxes that I praised a little bit, they might not deserve the same praise that I was originally saying, because, like, I'm not a big enough fan to know what 55 is, what 13 is, what 6 is, what 9 is. And I gotta pull every box out one at a time and turn them around and look at them or whatever, because they're all just kind of stacked up in a row like this, and you can't see through the top necessarily, and all the sides are, so this is important. I think this is a good idea for any kind of box situation like that. On the other side, we've got a name, so either side that you would be looking at would be fine. We of course have an advertisement thing right here, so if you need to know what show you're trying to look up. And the back has a decent character portrait with an entire portrait of the cast of characters down here. And I also think this is cool. These aren't boxes that I'm going to be keeping. They're just packaging, really. They don't strike me as crazy. But I will say, there's only 4 characters that I know of right now, which leaves 3 for them to make, which is this big strong dude, this little person here, and this little person here. And so that's going to be interesting. I don't know if this is going to go any further. I don't know if this line failed, because, like, I mean, it is, like, literally on almost clearance level prices, so I don't know how this went over, or if anything's in the pipeline, or maybe if the series really goes crazy on its next season or something like that. I don't know anything about this. So, yeah. Is it the same on each? It's the same on each, so no matter what, you're going to get the back, and you're going to get a description of what it is. And these are different languages. So this isn't like a giant story. This one paragraph explains the character, and then these are other languages underneath of it. I was curious about that, if that was a whole lot, but then I read a little bit of it, and that's what it is. So boxes, they're fine, especially if you're an inbox collector. I think you'll be happy with it. But if you're not an inbox collector, you don't lose anything by opening these guys up. And that's what we're about to do. So here they are. These are the figures. These are the Critical Role Legend of Vox Machina figures from McFarlane Toys. And they do seem pretty cool. Do I know anything about them? No, as I already said, but that will allow me to look at their designs in a very different way than probably some other people that are reviewing them, and I'm probably incredibly late to the party, so it's not like I'm trying to get views on Vox Machina, which is probably, these toys have been out long enough that I've seen a couple of these sitting in the stores for a while now and kept passing on them because of their price. Not that their prices were like exuberantly overdone, because they were just the price of a McFarlane toy, really, and I've bought other McFarlane toys, so you get the idea. But, like we've discussed many, many times, when figures are $25, you buy what you absolutely are going after, not what catches your fancy. And no matter how many times I walked by an Archer that looked really cool, I wasn't about to put my money in due to the situation at hand. You get the idea. So, she's the first one we're going to talk about right here. This is Kalith, and I dig her. I think she's cool. I like that she's one of those elves that has like the headdress thing. You know, not like a headdress, but you know, like I've seen this many times in D&D and different things of that nature, where the elves, there are elves that have like the antlers type thing going on. And I don't know if that's kind of like a wood elf thing or whatever. And it depends on which mythology you're following and which idea, because it's very different. I've seen them with it, and then I've seen them without it. And if you go to something like Elder Scrolls, none of them have that. You get the idea of what I'm talking about. But then I've went to other games where you can very much get them, and they remind me of a little bit like a tiefling idea, because they have like the horn areas, but I don't think that's what she's supposed to be. But maybe she is some sort of elf, tiefling, halfling type of thing. I don't know. I have no idea what the mythology is. I haven't checked this out, so I don't know anything about it past the nature of just what I'm seeing, but I do like it, and I think that it adds an interesting level of innocence to the character's overall design, which I think is definitely something they were going for. If you look at her, she looks like she may be the youngest of the group. I'm just making a guess here, but that's the way I'm seeing it right now. I like that they gave her kind of freckles, because I actually think that that's cool. I like when they go out of their way to kind of stylize redheads and whatnot in a very actual redhead manner, because oftentimes we look at redheads in most media and it very much is a Hollywood redhead. I'll put that in quotations, because it's very much somebody that colored their hair and they don't have a lot of the natural features like the really pale skin and things like that happens quite often with people that are actual natural red hairs. So that's interesting to me that they actually do something like that, and I can't help but feel like it does add to the idea of what they're going after. This is very obviously the mage of the group, and I like that staff. Like, I really like it. I think that is really solid. I think that's really cool. It's a straight up Lord of the Rings-esque staff where it comes up and it opens up and it has the gem on the top and everything. I think that's really cool. Their movement is standard McFarlane-esque movement. You basically know what you're going for here. You know what you're getting. But I'll use her as the point of show, so you know that you got this going on, you got this going on, we got this going on, and yes, they are doubles, so we can go all the way up and punch ourselves in the neck. The hands go up and down, which I actually think is really important, because it allows you to get things like where she could point this out like this, and I think that's actually important. I prefer that hands have this movement as opposed to the other movement, which is like this. And so they thought of both on this character, which is cool, because now she can very much take like an action pose where she's got like a hand up and she's kind of like aiming herself and then she fires off the wand or whatever. That's cool. You could do all kinds of stuff with that. I actually like that. As you just saw, she's got a little bit of hair problem, but no more than any other girl that seems, you know, that this is a natural female thing in general, but the hair has enough give that it's really not a problem. A little less give in the back, but her neck is long enough that she doesn't suffer from giraffe neck, which happens sometimes when they try to overcompensate to allow girls to move their heads, but it's solid. I actually like it. I think that she works out very well, and I like the overall design of all of this. I think that outfit is fantastic. I think she's a mage, and I think it works very well. The only thing I will say is that she is the smallest of these figures, and it makes this part difficult. She, like, does not hold this well. Down here, this is fine, but this also sets you to an idea that you're constantly holding the staff at a, so like it's way high, and you see, like, maybe it's just mine, but it seems like the staff is heavy. It wants to fall out of her hand. It wants to move her around, and she has this other hand that she can kind of support because they have this kind of movement and whatnot. So I can get something like this, and I guess it would be fine, but it does limit the amount of what we were going to do with her in general, like when I talked about how she could actually move her arm down and whatnot. But I don't think it's too much of a deal breaker. Down there, there's just enough. You really got to make sure it's in there, though, and you could see it falling to the side and everything. It's not great, okay? The staff is a real problem. It's a problem for this one in general, but otherwise, she's really solid. Okay, next we're going to talk about this guy right here. This is Vox Ilden. I'm guessing that's his name. I haven't heard this name said out loud, so I don't know. Right off the bat, I would like to say that is a fantastic face sculpt. I like every one of these face sculpts. I think these are very well done. He is a really, really sharp elf. Is he a dark elf? I think he could be a dark elf, which is kind of cool. I don't know 100%. Like I said, I haven't seen this, so I don't know. Maybe he's just kind of tanner than most, but I don't know. He's kind of got like a greenish hue to him, which I feel like is kind of like a dark elf type of thing. And he's one of the guys that's wielding knives and whatnot. He's guessing he's some sort of rogue fighter or whatever, thief, rogue, whatever. And it's pretty cool. I like this cape quite a bit. I like this fur. I like that there's a lot of give in the cape. He has an area that he can hold the knives in place, so we're going to go ahead and do that just for the sake of having them here. There they are. So I'm guessing they're this way. Oh, no, hold on. No, yeah, I'm right. So this one, and then this one goes up here this way. And so there's those where he could actually, like, have the knives and he could pull them out, and that's cool. And then he can carry one. Why they give him 3 knives, I honestly don't know. Maybe that's something to the extent of when you see him, you'll see him with a knife, and then you won't consider the idea that he has another. The legs, as you notice, this guy, I don't know if he's just been in there for so long that his legs are giving me problems or what, but it is kind of irritating. I don't know what's going on. And I can't seem to there. I kind of got it right there. And it could very much be that he's just been in the box for a very long time and I'm going to have to work with him. But there, he has his knife. So now if he was coming at you, all of them seem to have this problem with their hands. Can you not hold your knife, guy? Hold your knife like a knife-holding guy holds a knife, man. What are you doing? But there, if he's coming at you, right? And this is the idea. I'm sorry, I probably blurred that for a good while longer than I was supposed to. But that's solid. If he's coming at you, he's got the knife, and then maybe you wouldn't notice the ones in the back. I don't know. You figure D&D probably has the backstab, type of feet and whatnot. I don't know. I really like his outfit, though. I think this is really sharp. I like the furs and everything that are up on the top. I think that's really solid. I like all the straps, the belts, and different things like that. And I just like the dark elf-esque style with, I really like him. I really do. I think he's really cool looking. And since I know absolutely nothing about the show, you get me, I can't really comment too much further on anything other than that I like the guy. But yeah, those legs, that's really going to bother me. I've got to... Is that better? I don't know. I'm going to have to play around with that. I'm going to have to fix his ankle, fix his legs, yada yada. This next guy I bought because he was on sale. This, to me, this guy is Percy. He seems like the smug dude of the group. Maybe he's the smartest. But you know what he gives me the vibe of? I bought him because realistically, all of these were on sale, and for $50 I could pick up the entire wave, and I figured I would hate not to buy him and then watch the show and figure out he turns out to be one of my favorite characters. But what he reminds me of, first hit, is he's that guy that joins your D&D party that wants to use like guns and different stuff like that, and then kind of throws your whole fantasy D&D-esque thing out the window, and then you've got to kind of contend with the fact that one guy can shoot guns where another shoots, has arrows, another person has a sword, and it changes the entire vibe of the game overall. But for what he is, he's kind of got a steampunk Vash the Stampede-esque thing going with him. And I do like his sculpt in general. I don't mind those glasses. I think they're really solid, and I think that works. And I like that he has the kind of a pompadour-esque fling to his hair. I like the trench coat style. I think it's crafted very well. Like, I do think that's very well done. He's solid. He is really cool, especially since I can already get a personality idea from him just by looking at him. I think that's really solid. Problem, however, this hand, which is his gun hand, okay? It has this movement and this movement. You know, the one that I don't want for my shooting hand. Because what I want for my shooting hand is up and down movement, which neither of his hands got. Neither of his hands got that movement. They didn't get this, they got this. And I don't think that's good, especially when you're talking about a character who's going to have to shoot the gun. And as you can see, I put his trigger finger in there, and he can't point the gun. To point the gun straight at somebody, it's like he's shooting like this. That looks ridiculous. That looks ridiculous, and it ruins the poses that you would like to do. You would like to put this guy shooting straight on, right? And if you take the... No, even then, it's a problem. Like, that's a little bit better, but even then, like, this is a straight shot for him. It's way too low. It's not... I don't like that. I really don't like that. I think that hand is a bad hand. I think it hurts. It really hurts a part of the character big time because the rest of him was working so well. So it almost seems like you do yourself a favor display-wise just to put his deal in his pocket here and maybe take some sort of pose like where he's kind of reaching up to his glasses or something like that. Or maybe if you can, maybe can we cross his arms? Oh my. There we go. Break that out. Come on, break your turn out. There you go. You can kind of get a smug thing going like that, but it's not easy. It's not easy. But really, he works well. He could push his glasses up, and he would do just fine with a pose like that. Like this. You can get away with that. I am losing focus really bad today. It's just on him, it seems. Or you could just really just have him stand there, and it would still work because, like, his overall look and design just kind of sells this idea that he's just kind of a smug dude, and it works out well for him. I don't dislike him necessarily, but he was, if I was going to pass on somebody, he was the one I was going to pass on in first look. However, if I'm being completely honest with myself, Nick would probably really like this guy. And so there's that, in all honesty. And there's nothing wrong with that, because Nick has played a couple of characters like him, so I could possibly see that. And now, let's go on to the one that made me want the line. This one right here made me want the line. This is the character Vex Alia. I believe that's what her name is. And I saw her multiple times throughout times that I passed her in the stores and everything. And it always interested me. Mine has a problem on the shoulder right here. There's like a mess up. But I could play that off as having a scar on the shoulder, and it wouldn't hurt me at all. I like the overall, this area right here and whatnot. I like this battle skirt-esque idea for the tunic. I like this fur right here. I like the ponytail-esque thing. I like, in all honesty, I really like this, this look. This look she's got, that is wild. That is very much like an eye-tilted, are you serious right now type of thing. I think that's cool. It adds a little smug attitude to the overall character and works very well. All of 4 of these are designed very well. I have one big problem with her. If I'm pointing out a problem for every character, your problem is you don't really hold that staff well. Your problem is that your legs are messing with me quite a bit, and I don't know if that's just luck of the draw that I got you and you just kind of were that way, or if I got kind of screwed one way or another and your head doesn't like to move. His head is, see, like you can get it, but man, his head doesn't like to move. It's because his fur gets in the way. If I'm talking about him back there, his gun hand really bothers me. If I'm talking about you, why give me this? This is pointless. I get the idea, okay? You want to put it in there and then you got to be like, yeah, cool. But like, then why wasn't it just one solid piece? Why break that up at all if it's not actually usable? Because if I take it out, oh, she's got no arrows, I guess. And if I put it in, she's got arrows. But it didn't come with a single arrow where she could take an arrow out and she could actually shoot the bow. This comes off, but it does leave a pretty grotesque hole, which is not good in general. But like, so like say you turned her head, you aimed the bow, right? And then can you pull that back? Is this something that we're even going to be able to do? Can you even do? I mean, you kind of can, but like, it'd be pointless to set this up anyway, because like, why would you set up a bow shooting, you know, look, you know what I mean? If you actually can't shoot the bow anyway, and you can't do something like this too. I can't have her like this and she's holding an arrow and she's kind of waiting, like she's almost at that point where like the arrow would be down and she'd be holding it, because like this looks ridiculous. You're not going to hold every arrow and shoot them all at the same time. And so that's a problem, is they really kind of messed up part of the action possibilities, the pose possibilities, by doing what they did. But for what it's worth, she is still cool. Like, she's really cool. I really do like her. I think this is fantastic. I think that if you do it this way, and this, because this comes off, you could tilt this either way. So now I have the arrows on this side as opposed to the arrows coming on this side, and that helps with the ponytail a bit. But the ponytail there, that's not really that big of a deal, so I kind of fixed that already. And there's that. So now that's how she's going to sit on the shelf, and I don't think I'm going to have any problem with that. And yeah, each one of these is really solid, and each one of these gives me the impression that when I see this, I'm going to be happy. And that is my first impression of the Vox Machina Critical Role McFarlane Toys collection here. I have the entire first wave. I'm very interested in seeing the show. I have something to look forward to now, but it does still hold a lot of the conventional problems that we see with McFarlane Toys. And it is McFarlane Toys in general that does this. It used to be that McFarlane set the standard for having high sculpt design, while at the same time having a lot more posability than toys of the era. That's just the way it was. If you look at the original Spawns and whatnot that came out, they moved better than the 5-point articulation figures that were really the standards of figures back then. They looked great, they moved great, they set the standard of the industry. Nowadays, I guess I'm gonna say he, because I still think that he has his hands and a lot of influence in this. He's more prone to hold on to the sculpt and make sure the sculpt is everything he wants it to be without giving way to certain other things. Like, okay, so on the back of her box, she's taking this pose. she can't take that pose. There's no way at all that she could take that pose. Let me take her off of this first off. And you move her, and then do like this, and then like maybe like that, kind of, and then like it's gonna be really tight, but like I guess maybe I got it. If you want to get, maybe I got it, but even this is really, and that was just really quick, so you get the idea that I wasn't trying to like action pose for actually setting up a shot, but like the hair thing is in the way. So she couldn't really do that if she wanted to, and then, like, she can't do it. She can get somewhat a good pose, but then she doesn't have the arrow to use, and then, like, I mean, I guess I could get away with something like that there. I've kind of got her like this, but then, like I said, I don't have an arrow to use, so that's its own problem. There are problems. And this is true for all McFarlane figures so far. They just don't move well, and it is a legit problem for a lot of these figures. Doing the photography thing with these figures can sometimes be a real pain because you struggle to find action poses in the dynamicy that you want them, because like their capes will get in the way or something like that, because they don't use actual capes, they don't use wireframe capes, they use like that plastic material which is always rigid and always kind of restrictive. But you can always guarantee that the overall sculpt design is really solid, and so you just kind of take what you get and lose what you get, and you make do with what you have. I don't dislike these figures at all, but you do need to know before you ever buy them that they fall into the same trope issues, the same problems that all the McFarlane toys fall into. But if you're okay with that, and you liked this show, I don't know if I just got lucky, or if they're all on sale the way that I saw them, but for right now, they are on sale. At least they are when I got there, and they are marked down like crazy. I'm telling you, I spent 50 bucks, and I could have actually spent less probably if I would have shopped around just a little bit, but I just took like the first deals, like dit. It was like, I got them, of course. And so if you could buy an entire McFarlane line, four figure release at $50, you're literally paying for 2 figures and getting 4. Like, I mean, that's really what you're doing. And I wasn't doing like a buy one, get one 50% off sale thing or nothing like that. These guys were they're just that cheap right now. So if you have any interest, now's the time to jump on them. At least I hope so. By the time this video goes up, I hope you haven't lost your opportunity. Either way, guys, that's Vox Machina. It looks like a cool line. It looks like it could turn out to be a cool show. I won't know till I try them out. But I think I've given all the impression I can. I'm going to get out of here.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.